Welcome back, guys, to another edition of the Go Earn It podcast. And today, I decided to switch it up and reach out to an old buddy of mine, an old coach, an old friend that is now taking his journey into a different step aside from wrestling. And he is Adam Latella. Adam, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Angel, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for being on the Go Earn It podcast today. So for listeners that don't know who Adam Latella is, Adam, I don't know if I should start or you should start, but Adam, the way me and Adam met was through wrestling, the sport of wrestling, and sure enough, now it comes full circle, and he's on my podcast today. But Adam was a wrestler and a coach at UW Whitewater, which is one of the top Division III wrestling programs in the nation. I'll let you go from there, Adam, because I can talk my head off, but let's hear from you first.
Yeah, so originally I went to Hononegah High School down in Illinois.
Yeah.
Started out, I had a wrestling coach there that, really taught me how to work and, showed me that if you want something, you got to work for it. I was, pretty fortunate. I had some really good practice partners. He was able to always bring in college guys that were wrestling and bring them into our room. So he kind of showed us, from the start, what it meant to work hard and go after your goals. And so I had a fairly successful career there. I was in the state finals. And then I went over. I was actually planning on joining the military when I was leaving high school. But then Coach Fader kind of came out, reached out to me, and showed me that I could wrestle in college and could go to school and get a degree and kind of get to where I want to be in life. And so that's kind of how I ended up at UW Whitewater. First couple of years there were a little rocky. Was not ready for school. Was not ready for the rigor of academics.
Right.
So had a rough start, but figured it out. Finally got back on track my sophomore year, and sophomore, junior, senior year I was at the national tournament. Junior year I was an All-American. Senior year had an unfortunate injury. Mm-hmm. Nothing you can do about that stuff, but I was still able to be an academic All-American that year. After my senior year, Coach Fader asked if I wanted to stick around and coach. At that point, that was kind of what I wanted to do with my life. I was going to school for health and human performance, and I kind of knew I wanted to stay at the college scene. And so I started getting my master's under Coach Fader, and I was coaching. I coached at Whitewater for 3 years.
I'll stop you there. So at that point, when you were done wrestling and everything, that's when I came into the part where I joined the program. I think it was 2014. Wrestled for a couple years, but what stuck out to me in my aspect of your leadership and the way you carried yourself is you were always about helping the guys out. It was never about having that coach's stigma or like, oh, I'm the leader or I'm the commander. You were always putting your foot forward and always leading the pack, but also understanding that you weren't barking orders. You were the one on the mat wrestling with these guys. So it wasn't just a matter of, oh, I want to be a coach. You were hands-on. You were always training with the guys. You were a pivotal reason why a lot of the All-Americans that came up the last couple of years was built off of what you instilled in them and what you provided for the program.
Yeah, that was something I always tried to do is, just show people you have to work hard, right? And, I was fortunate I had athletes like you and, Roland Dunlop, Shane Seifert,
Newman.
People Newman, right? People that wanted to work hard, and I just had to kind of show them what things they were supposed to be doing as we were moving through and they were progressing in their wrestling styles. And, I'd try to find those little things that we could help make them better. But, ultimately, like you said, I was wrestling with those guys every day and, pushing them. I wasn't giving up points to them. I wasn't, I showed them that what they wanted to do, or what they needed to do was to work. And, I kind of instilled in them that if they're wrestling with me and they're rolling around with me every day, that, I'm probably bigger than the people they're wrestling with, right? And
Yeah.
and I kind of it's easy once you start coaching, then the cardio you like don't get tired. It's
Right. Right. Right.
kind of a weird thing because there's no pressure to do anything. So it was, I really enjoyed that time on the mat with you guys, and then thinking about I'd go back and then I'd think about, okay, well he hit this, and what if we can switch him from hitting this side of the ankle to the other side of the ankle, and and then kind of chaining that stuff together. So that stuff, that's kind of how my mind always thought is show you guys how to work, but then after you guys are working, then figuring out where I could break down the small movements.
Yeah, that was a thing I noticed really quick off the bat when I watched you coach, is that you not only were on the mats being there as a coach physically, mentally, but for you, like, you were always in that mindset mode of thinking of ways to beat the opponents, So you were very, very detailed with that, as far as pinpointing your athlete's strengths, and then also pinpointing their weakness and working on how they both can mesh together. So the biggest reason why I had Adam on today was not because of his wrestling background, but I think it was more or less what wrestling taught Adam carries through his life now. And so I wanted to bring him on because he's been through a crazy roller coaster, and now let's talk about the story of post wrestling. So post college coaching, and tell me about the last couple of years and how it manifested itself to have this opportunity that has been bestowed upon you today. So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I actually, like I said, I was getting my master's at Whitewater. When I finished my master's, there was an academic advising job that opened up, and that's where I did my graduate assistant ship, was with the academic advising.
Right.
And so I ended up getting into that office, and that kind of pulled me away from wrestling, but it opened the door up for weightlifting for me. So the past 3 years, I had been coaching. We had a weightlifting club on campus, Warhawk Weightlifting, and that I had just, kind of took over, and I started to grow, and, kind of applied that same mindset to the weightlifting that I had for wrestling, was that I'm going to work. I'm going to show these people, how to work, and then I'm going to work with all of them, that anybody that wants to work with me and get programmed from me, and kind of, my knowledge of how the body moves and how the body works, then I'm going to be open to kind of sharing that knowledge with them. I was still new in the weightlifting world, so I got certified, USA Weightlifting certified, got level 1 done. A couple years later, I got level 2 done. And then just over time, I developed the athletes that I needed to get to national tournaments. So now I'm considered a national level coach for USA Weightlifting. And then it actually, this past year, I just moved, a couple months ago, or not even a couple weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago, man. It's not that far yet.
3 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
Just moved out here, or up here to Marquette, Michigan, at Northern Michigan University. So I'm the head weightlifting coach at the Olympic training site here at Northern Michigan.
Which, congratulations. I didn't get a chance to actually tell you that in person. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a really exciting opportunity. There's a lot of, I inherit a lot of really good athletes right away. So I can, kind of hit the ground running here right away. But, already I got here within, I was here for 4 days. Right away, I made I think it was like 6.5 hour drive down to Grand Rapids because Youth Nationals was going on. So right away, I was, hitting the ground as far as recruiting goes, and trying to get the athletes into the program that I want to get in, and trying to find people that want to work and have big goals for themselves, because this is a place that we can do that.
So Adam, my first question for you is, where did the aspiration or inspiration for weightlifting come from? Like, obviously you had the love for just sports in general, whether it was just any sport you could think of. I know you love watching sports and being a part of sports, but it seems that weightlifting really drew your attention. And so what was the biggest reason for going down that journey? Why did you want to start that?
Yeah, so the big thing was, I got done wrestling and wanted to kind of find a way to keep competing. I went and did some, I did one freestyle tournament out at the U.S. Open. It's on YouTube. Got my butt kicked a couple times. My just the way my neck was. I had neck surgery and just I couldn't stop a gator roll. I couldn't really.
Right.
I just couldn't use my neck the way I needed to for wrestling. You know how it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People are pulling on your head. You're using your neck for literally everything.
Everything.
Couldn't use it the way I wanted to, and then I was talking to one of the track coaches at Whitewater, and he's like, "Hey, I think you should try weightlifting. I think wrestlers transition over well because they're good body awareness and
Yeah.
your hips and things like that." So I was like, "Oh, sure." Like, I want to find something to keep competing at, and so I went to I trained for about 8 weeks maybe, and I went to my first weightlifting meet, which was the Wisconsin State Championship, and I took third. And right there, it just clicked for me. I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I want to do, and I don't want to take third. So right there, it just gave me that drive. Like, okay, now I have a goal. Next year, I'm gonna win state.
Which you
then,
did.
yeah, and I did, right. But for that whole year, it kind of drove me. It gave me that mindset of a goal to work towards, right? And I was still coaching wrestling, and I was still wrestling a couple hours a day, and I was just getting my workouts in between my classes and between practice, but it was easy. I never thought of it as like something that was hard. It was just kind of the common wrestling, embrace the grind, right? That was kind of It was just fun to me. It was fun to me to have a ladder to climb, and so it kind of really progressed from there. And then after that, next year I won state, and then my focus turned to, okay, now I want to qualify for U.S. Nationals. That next year I qualified for U.S. Nationals. I didn't do that well. I ended up bombing out on clean and jerk. My body was kind of going through some changes with lifting more, wrestling less.
Oh yeah, give listeners a little context. What'd you wrestle in college?
Yeah,
Give the listeners.
So I wrestled 197 pounds in college, and through my 3 years of coaching, I kind of stayed, I kind of stayed around that like 205, 210, just because I wanted to be able to wrestle with guys that were 84, but also through the heavyweight guys. So I kind of tried to keep myself in the middle. So when I first started competing weightlifting, I competed at 94 kilos, which is 207 pounds or 204 pounds, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was a really easy weight cut for me. Then I started, I switched from no wrestling to just weightlifting. Started to grow. My legs started to, fill out a little bit. My shoulders started to fill out a little bit. And then so cutting down to 94 kilos was just not fun. So
and it's not really the same. It's not the same as wrestling. You can't. It's not. You're not supposed to cut weight in weightlifting. Right. So for you, it was kind of like you probably embraced it more of like kind of wrestling and weightlifting mindset, but definitely the weight cutting aspect, like wrestling, it's no comparison to weightlifting.
No, yeah, it's way different because you can't run, right? You're not, we're using our legs for our sport. It's snatch, clean, and jerk. So, you can't run. You can't jump on the stairmaster. For wrestling, you do that stuff and you just tell yourself, okay, well, I'm getting better doing this extra workout, right? But for weightlifting, it's just burning your legs. So so it's a whole different game as far as that weight cut goes. It's way more on your nutrition and kind of being smart farther out and trying not let yourself get, super far. So I was actually sitting in the sauna with a guy named Glenn Pendaway, and he was a really high level, or he is a really high level weightlifting coach, and I was still really new to the game, and he was like, "You're a 94?" He's like, "You should be 105 or 105 plus for sure." Like,
that's when your eyes blew up and you're like, "Oh, I get to eat."
Yeah, that's when I was like, "Okay, maybe this guy's onto something." So the next year, I went up to 105, and now I'm at 105 plus. I sit around like 255, 260 pounds. and that's like kind of my comfortable walking around weight.
Yeah, but that for you, and listeners, if you don't know Adam, he's what are you 6'3"?
Yeah, about 6'2", probably. I'd say.
6'2",
Yeah.
6'3". So you're a long guy. So it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're like 5'11" weighing this. Like you have the body to fill out. You're like a tree trunk basically. You can fill out and put that weight on.
yeah.
What's it like competing with other guys in that weight class? Is it how do they look in aspect of like your body as far as because you have a unique body type where you're long, lengthy. So like the strength, building that strength, I'm sure it kind of can get challenging because it's a little bit different being shorter versus taller. Tell me a little bit how that goes in that sport.
Yeah, so a shorter person, obviously their levers are shorter. They're shorter to the ground. The bar doesn't have to travel as high, but
Right.
it's just figuring out. It's just like wrestling. It's figuring out where your levers are, where you're strong at, and where you're going to produce that most power. So, you know, it's probably an advantage maybe to be a little shorter for weightlifting, but I don't think it's tall people can do
It's
it.
not make or break,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. It's funny though because I get on the stage at nationals and I'm the smallest one there
Jeez.
every year just because it's an unlimited weight class. It's 105 plus, which means
Right.
there's no cap to that.
What's
So
the biggest guy you've seen there?
there's guys that are like 160, 170 kilos, and so there's some probably not that. I guess the biggest guy I've personally seen is they're probably around like 350. So I don't know what that is.
Wow.
Right. So they're guys got 100 pounds on me easy, and so mass moves mass. So
Yeah.
so I'm going up against some odds there, but I enjoy it and it's fun and they're going to be changing the weight classes here, so they might end up putting in a weight class where I might go down under that plus category, and if they put like a 110 or a 115 in, I'll probably most likely go there. But for me, for my career as far as weightlifting goes, I'm a national level competitor, but really my focus is kind of turned on to coaching.
Coaching.
More. I think I'll always hopefully always be at that national meet. Hopefully I can always push my body to those to those meets and be able to keep training hard, but I'm more focused on getting as many of my athletes to that national meet as I can compared to kind of me specifically.
So before we talk a little bit about your new position, coaching and whatnot, tell me how does a weightlifter qualify for nationals? Tell me about how that road goes.
Yeah, so really it's kind of it's set in stone. So each year USA Weightlifting will put out the qualifying totals.
Mm.
And so, for 105 plus to get to the national U.S. Nationals, it is a 310 kilo total. So between snatch and clean and jerk together, you both have together they have to add up to 310 kilos. And so each weight class, has its own, its own guidelines, its own set of weights that you have to get to. And so there's different qualifying meets that you can get to, and so there's U.S. Nationals is kind of the top U.S. meet, the American Open Finals, University Nationals. So all of these things, Junior Nationals, Youth Nationals, they all have kind of a set guideline. Hey, this is the number that you have to hit to be able to qualify for this meet. So it's pretty unique. You can have a ton of people in certain weight classes if it's an attainable, I guess, number to hit for those athletes.
So would you say obviously I know what you're going to say about wrestling, but has the thrill for chasing that different type of because from what I see from it is that you're competing against yourself in order to get to nationals, really. Mm-hmm. And so how does that change your mindset versus, competing in a sport like wrestling, staying motivated and whatnot? What's the difference maker for you as far as keeping, because when you're a wrestler, you're only focused on building yourself up as much as you can to be the best you can be. Whereas, the uncontrollable factor is that other guy, the opponent.
Right.
You don't have an opponent per se. You
Yeah.
have a goal, and that's your competition really.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the easy part about weightlifting is that there's really not a limit to it, right? It's,
Right.
I hit a 550-pound squat. Well, okay, now I want to do 555, 560.
Yeah.
So there's really, I guess, until you're at the point where you can't put weight on the bar anymore, there's always something that you can do. There's always weight that you can add on. And so I think for me the biggest thing is, I always, post those national numbers. I post those around places and, kind of remind myself that, hey, these are the goals that I'm trying to hit. But ultimately I have my personal records of the best numbers that I've hit, and I want to keep, kind of beating those. The next real big one for me right now is I really want to clean and jerk 182 kilos, which is 400 pounds, which is, it's right. It sounds like a lot, right? But
I know
but
that doesn't sound like a lot for you because you're probably like very close, but to a person like myself, it's crazy.
and it's funny though, because even 182 clean and jerk is like minimal,
Right.
it's like the national and the international scene goes. But for me, that's just that's just one of those goals that I really want. I had a big goal of getting to 145 kilo snatch, just because when you're on stage and it's 3 plates on your snatch, which aesthetically looks pleasing. It's one of those kind of those weights where you kind of start truly getting into some real weights, which I thought was, it was pretty fun. I've done that my past 2 meets now, so, I kind of I want to keep upping that snatch number, but really kind of turning my focus back to the clean and jerk. I've hit 175 kilo clean and jerk, so I got 7 kilos to go. I've jerked it. I've never attempted to clean it, so, I got some work to do there. I think my legs are strong enough. I got some things in my technique that I got to clean up, though, to kind of be more efficient with that movement.
So the transition into what I wanted to talk about, truthfully, was your opportunity to be a coach at this college now. Tell me about
Yeah.
how you got hired on. Tell me about what it took to get there, and how's the experience going for you so far?
Yeah, so I think as far as, getting hired on, I think they saw my coaching experience, at Whitewater, when we were wrestling. I was part of that coaching staff and that team that, we placed 3 times. We took third, we took second, we took fourth in the country.
All
Uh,
within those 3 years where you
yeah,
were number one in the nation at one point in the season.
yeah, yeah. So we had a good 3 year, run there. It was a little longer than 3 years, obviously, but
Right.
you know, for my time as far as just coaching goes, we had a good run there. And then when I switched over to the Warhawk Weightlifting Club, then I found it, it was a new challenge, but I tried to figure out what was a good obtainable goal for our team and for our club to get to. And I thought, the first thing we should set our eyes on was state championships, right? And so the past 3 years, the Warhawk Weightlifting Club, we had won 3 state championships as a team. So we were really able to, kind of get everybody going, everybody strong at the right time, and so we were able to win. It was actually kind of unique this past year. We got snowed out, so we only had 4 of our guys that were able to go, to the meet, and it was awesome though, because the 4 of us, all 4 of us, won our weight classes.
Wow.
Ended up winning the state championship with 4 people.
Is
So
that normal?
it's probably not typically normal. I guess there's 8 weight classes, so to win it with half the people is, that's
Pretty
yeah.
incredible.
It was a pretty that one was pretty fun. Um, so and then from there, like I said, I just kept getting people to university nationals, and had a couple people qualify for nationals and different bigger events, and and I think they, the school NMU, I think they liked kind of my vision for the sport, my vision for, kind of where I want to bring this team. I'm now at a university where, state championships are not what we're looking for. We're looking for university national championships. We're looking to get people on university world teams, you know, junior world teams, and then ultimately U.S. world teams, and making those ultimate runs every 4 years at Olympics. And that's kind of my goal right now, is to get kind of that first person on the U.S. world team, and then from there kind of keep building that person up, and trying to get them to ultimately the Olympics is really kind of my ultimate goal, is to get somebody there. So
Yeah. So what's the atmosphere of like the campus and everything, the staff? How's everybody been treating you, welcoming you to a new town?
yeah, so I mean, it's a really friendly area up here. Actually, it's a real outdoors kind of area where people are out doing stuff all the time. So the town has been really good to me so far. I've been getting out, exploring, checking out different mountains, and different beaches and different things like that. So it's really cool because we're right on Lake Superior.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool outdoor stuff. As far as some of my coworkers, other coaches, and things like that, have been reaching out to me, and kind of introducing themselves. And I've been talking with some of the other strength and conditioning coaches that are just right above us, and twice, people want to see you succeed. And so that's it's a relieving feeling, knowing that you're coming into a place where people want to see you do well. And so I think that's really exciting. I think the athletes, some of them knew who I was coming in, some of them had no idea, but so far the people that have been around have been open to kind of new ideas. It might not be the exact same way they trained before. It might not be the same things that they were doing before, but it's probably all kind of similar, because it's there's kind of a proven science with weightlifting, and there's kind of things that just every program most likely is going to kind of have those same build-ups and those same progressions. And but yeah, the athletes have been really accepting so far. I've been working with, there's a few of them on campus for summer. A few of them have been sending over video, and I've been watching videos and figuring out kind of where the small errors are coming in. Like I said, it's a really elite school, and the coach that was here before was he's a really good coach. And he went down and started a new program down in Georgia. And so he left me with some really good athletes here, which is always nice when you're coming into a situation where you already have.
Excuse me. How big is the team right now for you guys?
So right now there's going to be anywhere from about 20 to 25 people coming in this fall semester. Still trying to reach out to a few of them. College kids, and checking email over the summer is not always a top priority. So
Right.
Still trying to get a hold of a couple of them to see kind of what their plan is here for the fall semester. But
Now, go ahead.
Yeah, we'll be somewhere in that 20 to 25 range.
So when somebody wants to join a team like yours, or at any college, how does that process come into play? We'll put myself an example. Like, say I want to be like, I want to start powerlifting or weightlifting, whatever it may be. What's the next step, Adam? Like, do I try out for your team? Like, how to tell listeners how that goes?
Yeah, so similar to any sport, right? I'm out on the road. I'm going to be recruiting, and doing some of that stuff where I'm reaching out to people via social media, coaches, trying to introduce myself to as many of the youth coaches and the junior coaches as I can, because those are the pipelines that are going to be coming into my program.
Right.
People can reach out to me. My email is on our website. We also have a questionnaire. If you're interested in getting recruited, we have a questionnaire on our website that you fill out that gets sent right over to me, and then I'm able to, kind of look through that stuff, and then get those conversations going, get you on campus, and kind of selling you on the school and on the program once you're, kind of on campus and doing some of that stuff.
Cool.
So
So Adam, what's the goal for this year? You're a new coach now, coming into a territory you're not really familiar with, and you're gonna embrace this challenge. What would you say the ultimate goal for your first year coaching in this position is?
yeah, I think this first year really kind of establishing, kind of my system and my ideas into the program, and getting the current team to kind of buy into that stuff, and just kind of making sure that we're keeping the wheels going forward here. You know, getting everybody to kind of buy in on the same program. My ultimate goal, every year is going to be to win the university national championships, and get as many people on that university world team as we can. And then from there, keep looking at the real elite athletes here and figuring out what we have to do to get them, onto Team USA and competing and representing the USA.
What I thought was really cool for you and your former team at Warhawk Weightlifting is that some of those guys are actually going to be joining your crew, huh? How did that process go about, and was that kind of always in the plans, or what did it just manifest itself into them following you, joining up with you, or how did you guys all come into that?
Yeah, so Shane Perkins and Chris Rindle are both guys that I've been working with here for the past few years. Shane, me and him had our first weightlifting meet was at the same time, was at that state championship in Green Bay,
Right.
back in 2014. So I've been with Shane for quite a few years here now, and then Chris joined us 2 years ago. But both of them, were going to school for health and human performance. Both of them thought they were going into that strength and conditioning route, but they found weightlifting kind of a similar, kind of way that I did, and it's something that has really stuck with them, and they really enjoy the process of kind of getting themselves better, and then also helping other people develop. So it was just something that when I told them when I was applying for the job that it would be a way for me to try to get them up there and up here, get their masters, and then ultimately be able to help them get to where they want to go. Well, in turn, the next 2 years, they're going to be working for me and helping me recruit and helping me program and helping me, break down film and do some of those things that that we do as coaches. So it's going to give them 2 good years of strong coaching experience, as well as they're both still university age, so they can still compete for me at the university national level. Both of them were qualifiers for university nationals, and have lifted at that meet and kind of know what to expect when we get there, and we're ready to coach and compete. And so it was just a way for me to help them get their masters while they help me kind of transition into this position, and they're going to be able to help me kind of do some of that stuff that I want to get done here these first 2 years. So
What's your biggest challenge? I asked you what your goal is. What's your biggest challenge now facing this year?
I I would say biggest challenge is getting people to kind of buy into the system. A lot of these athletes have worked with the past coach for some of them 3-4 years. So you know how it is going through a coach.
I was just about to say, we all know how that goes.
So it's there's going to be some people that will be resistant to it, and there'll be some people that are open to it. And it's just showing them that my ultimate goal is to get them as good as they can be. So it's not essentially we probably have the same goal in mind, right? It's just a matter of whether they kind of buy into if they think I can get them there or not. And so I think this first year will be kind of getting that buy-in from the team, and and then really hitting the ground running as far as recruiting goes, and really start to bring in my my recruits and my people in this the year after that, and and then from there kind of have a smooth transition from there. So
How's the facilities? How are you liking everything? How's the gym? How's the athletic facilities, the campus? How you adjusting to it? Because I'm sure it's a different. I mean,
yeah.
you've been lifting in the same platform essentially in Whitewater for the last 20,000 years, So
Yeah, I was at Whitewater in that gym for 12 years, so
yeah, man. That's the
it's a
truth though.
little
Like that's the
different,
truth.
but
You've been there.
yeah,
You've been
right.
there for basically 3 graduating classes.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. I was there. I was in that gym for a while, but the cool part about this is that our team, we have our own weight room, so
Mm.
it's pretty awesome. We have 10 platforms in here. We have 3 sets of jerk blocks. We have dumbbells. I got some other equipment that I have I've already developed a wish list of things that that I kind of want to get for the room that's going to make us better.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's really cool because we have our own facility. Just our team is in here, so it's really it's going to make it easy for them to be able to focus on kind of the task at hand for the day and what they need to get done for the day. It's also really nice because we have our own training facility, or our own training staff, I mean. And so we have a lady named Cora, who is our athletic trainer. She works with just us and wrestling. So
Oh wow.
it's pretty nice that we have somebody. She also has a couple GAs that work with her, um, and then some student assistants. So it's nice because we have the care that we need, for these athletes, which is really really big. They're going through hard workouts. They're going to be squatting a lot. They're going to be doing a lot of overhead work. So you get a lot of soreness throughout the body, and the knees get achy, the elbows and shoulders get achy, and it's good to have core around, to be able to kind of take care of those injuries for the team and keep them healthy and keep them kind of progressing as we move through through the year here.
So you did mention wrestling. Do you plan on dabbling in on just checking out, like watching the team compete and everything? Not coaching or anything like that, but
Yeah,
do you plan on, because you're like I said in the beginning of the podcast, you're very you like sports, you don't shy
yeah,
away from watching sports. You go to random games here and there and whatnot, watch different types of
yeah.
sports and whatnot. Are you looking forward to being part of that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's interesting because the wrestling team here is just Greco,
Oh,
because they're
really?
also yeah. So they're also one of the Olympic training teams. They're part of the Olympic training site. So they're just Greco, which for
Wow.
me is the only style I didn't really
Yeah.
get. Um, so it's but no, I've been kind of keeping up with them a little bit. They just had a guy make the U.S. World Team.
Wow.
So he'll be representing U.S., which is really cool. It's cool to see that. It can be done at this facility, right? It's different. It's wrestling. It's not weightlifting, but to show it kind of shows the weightlifting team, right? That someone can make the U.S. team and represent the U.S. at the highest level, at Worlds and things like that. So it's, but yeah, I'm excited to watch those guys and see those guys, compete and go from there. So
For sure. Well, before we sign off on this podcast, Adam, thank you very much for coming on today. I felt like it was my duty to get you on just because you've been no, for real, like it's just the truth. It might not fit into the guests I've had in the past, or who I've talked to, but for me, like, you were always one of those guys I looked up to because just the way you carried yourself, how you led people, and your attitude. I really learned you really focus on attitude. Attitude's everything. I've seen you talk about and read up on so many books, and you do the work to put your body and mind to the test. And that's where I was like, when I saw that in you, I was like, man, I hope to be somebody like that one day. So, like I said, thank you for being on today.
Yeah, thanks
Also,
for having me.
yeah, for sure.
Fun.
And another thing is we'll be sending you out a nice little care package. So after we get off,
Yeah,
send me your
awesome.
address. We just got new backpacks in and everything, so we're gonna
Yep, I saw those.
we're
Those
gonna
are sweet.
we're gonna hook you up with one of those, and then
Cool.
I'm sure we got some 2X's and 3X's laying around in the back. We can send some gear out to you. But
Awesome.
my last question, as I always sign off on the Go Earn It podcast, Adam, when someone says you got to go earn it, what does go earn it mean to you?
Go earn it is kind of that's what I like. That's what I like about it. It's exactly what it means. It's nobody's going to hand you anything. Nobody's going to hand you a personal record. Nobody's going to hand you a match. Nobody's going to hand you $1 million. Right? These are all things that if you want it, you have to go out and you have to work for it. You have to develop a strategy, develop a plan. Write your goals down, and then it's not necessarily just writing your goals down. You can write your goals down, but if you don't have an action plan with that, that's just a wish list. You write your goals down, and then you write down the action plans or the action steps that you're going to take, to achieve those goals, and that's kind of exactly what Go Earn It to me. That's why I rep you guys. That's why I like you guys. Even though I'm weightlifting, I'm not wrestling, but it's that same mindset, right? If I want to clean and jerk 182 kilos, well, I better have an action plan and a game plan of how I'm going to get there. Otherwise, it's just me saying I want to do it, and it's never going to happen. So, that's kind of what Go Earn It means to me. Is it's just that you have to work. You have to work for what you want, whether it's money, whether it's titles, or whatever it is that you're working for. You have to work for it. So
Awesome. You nailed it right on the head. Well, Adam, where can listeners find you? Where can we check out your new position, your college, everything that you're working on? Time to shine. Your time's now.
yeah, so my Instagram and Twitter. I don't use Twitter much. I'm a big Instagram guy though. Instagram's at Coach_Latella. So just Coach _ my last name. On Facebook, just Adam Latella. Our NMU, you can find us on Facebook, NMU Olympic Training Site. Instagram is at NMU Olympic Training Site. So you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. I think we also have a Twitter. I'm not a huge Twitter guy. I probably should get into that a little more. But
Instagram's where it's at, I believe. Instagram and Facebook.
I agree. I think Instagram and Facebook are cover the bases, right?
Yeah.
Especially for weightlifting, Instagram is huge. So those are the two main, kind of places I use as far as my weightlifting stuff goes. So, but yeah, so we are combined. Our Instagram's combined with wrestling, which makes it cool to all the listeners out there, right? Yeah. You guys can keep up with my weightlifting team, but you can also keep up with the the Greco team as well. So
for sure.
So you don't have to just watch lifting weights all day. You can watch some people get thrown.
What's nice about weightlifting and wrestling, it's universal. It's everywhere. Like the competition, whether you're from Russia or India or wherever you want us, it's always going to be there. So the podcast officially hit 25 countries as of last week, so it's crazy to
awesome.
see how many.
Good work, man.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Regardless if it's one or two listeners from each country, that's still huge for us. So, Adam, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm sure we'll chit chat soon, and you have a good day.
Definitely, man. We'll see you. Have a good one.
Take care.